Another question I often get asked is, what could one senator do, particularly a senator that's of a third party, not of the two major parties? Think for a minute with me. What a stir it would be across the entire nation if a political icon, like a 30-year senator, Senator Hatch, was unseated by a third-party candidate, a political unknown, that only ran on the principles this nation was founded on. No promises, no special interests, simply trying to restore what made this nation great to begin with. That would send ripples across this nation. In fact, I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek often say that we would be on the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek magazine, and there would be an outcry across the nation saying, what happened? And it would be a recognition that Americans were tired of politics as usual. So I believe that, first of all, it would begin an awakening in the hearts of the people across the nation. Then once we got on the Senate floor, it would be a grand opportunity to again espouse the principles this nation was founded on. The principles that made this the greatest, strongest, most free, and most prosperous nation in the world. To be able to try and point out the inconsistencies between many of the things that come onto the floor of the Senate and what really should be at the center of our nation's heartland, the United States Constitution. Many people ask me, can a third party really win a federal candidacy, a major office? I truly believe the answer is yes. And the reasons are many, not the least of which is that the cause of liberty burns in the hearts of every American. That cause of liberty can be fanned into a flame again once the people are exposed to the principles that this nation was founded on. I believe that there will be a grassroots rising up. People will come to understand again what's at stake, and they'll want to partake of those things that their founding fathers bequeathed to them at such great cost. I also believe that the people of this nation are tired. They're tired of politics as usual. They're tired of the same outcomes. It's sort of a form of insanity to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. We have decades of experience to look back on and see what the results of that kind of action have been. There was a third party established in 1854 called the Republican Party. In 1856, it did not have much success, but 4 years later, the new United States president was elected from the Republican Party. So in times of trial, oftentimes people are willing to examine other options, and I believe that that could happen at this time. We need your support, but we need more than anything Americans that love the principles this nation was founded on. If we receive that, I believe that we can be successful in this upcoming. Many people ask me, why have you decided to run for the United States Senate? And why particularly have you decided to run on a third party, the Constitution Party? Well, there's probably quite a long answer to that. However, in brief, my hope is that someday this nation may return to the principles that it was founded on. The United States Constitution is the charter of the nation. It's the contract that was written between those who govern and those who are the citizens of this nation. And we've strayed far from those principles. And my hope is that by reinforcing and re-emphasizing those principles in the hearts of the people, we'll be able to someday have those principles again rule in this nation. An honest and exhaustive study of the people and events which culminated in the birth of this nation leads the sincere truth seeker to the unequivocal conclusion that if there is a single foundation principle upon which this nation was established, it is that God's hand was the sustaining influence overarching and undergirding every significant event which led to the nation's establishment, and that the founders of the nation recognized that influence and gave Him their thanks and faith. Those who founded this nation, with very few exceptions, were godly people who sought to the best of their ability to know God's will and to serve Him. With that faith-based foundation, those who established this nation recognized God as the source of their rights and embraced the principle that the purpose of government was to protect, preserve, and defend those unalienable God-given rights. They saw government not as a source from which rights are dispensed, for if government is powerful enough to grant rights, it is also powerful enough to destroy rights. They recognized that government must be constrained to act within a specific, limited scope if the government was to fulfill its duty, and yet be prevented from becoming a tyranny. In light of these truths, it should not be surprising that the charter they established for the nation created a limited government, which was granted power to act in only specific and well-defined areas. In addition, they divided and subdivided the power they granted to the national government in an attempt and an effort to preclude any element of the government from stepping beyond the limits of proper government. Those who founded this nation considered the United States Constitution to be a written, binding contract between those who were selected to hold office and the citizens of the nation. All who hold office are required to take an oath to abide by the Constitution. In many ways, the Constitution is the job description of the office holder. The Constitution grants specific power and withholds all other power from the national government. As this grand experiment in mankind's dream for freedom was launched at the end of the 18th century and beginning of the 19th century, there was great hope for its success in the hearts of the people. But there was also much trepidation. Was it possible for a people to govern themselves and maintain the liberty that had been won at such great cost and sacrifice? The answer was astounding to the entire world. As these principles were applied, the nation blossomed almost overnight into a great beacon of hope for all mankind. Within the framework of a properly limited and established government, people enjoyed the fruits of their labor and creativity. The abundance of the nation overflowed. The world stood in awe of the magnificence of a nation so blessed, and other wise nations sought to duplicate our success by attempting to adopt our success formula within their lands. Unfortunately, for many years now, those who lead this nation, and we who are citizens of this great land, have failed to apply the foundation principles upon which this nation was established, and upon which we became the freest, most prosperous, and happiest nation on earth. We have strayed far, and the greatness of this nation is being called into question. I believe that a return to the foundation principles which are tried and true will result in a return to the conditions in which all that is of most worth in mortality may be restored to the individuals and families of this land. However, this will only be possible if the individuals and families of this nation again step forward and vigorously insist that their representatives uphold the United States Constitution and abide in their oath to that document. We all have a duty to become constitutionalists who know that our freedoms will remain secure if those who govern are constrained to act only within the powers granted to them.